Bean Beasts, a tower defense game in which your character is the spiritual reincarnation of Christopher Columbus, traveling to a new world and massacring the local population in the name of exploration. Bean Beasts is host to a wide variety of interesting towers, unique maps, and mechanics that help the game stand out from larger titles such as Bloons. The game is made by Anxious Noob, a solo developer, and with that in mind, I'd say the game is phenomenal. Even without that in mind, I'd say the game is pretty damn good. At its core, the game is your standard tower defense game. You set up shop, mobs come, you kill mobs, and repeat that until you've beaten all the waves in the level. How the game sets itself apart, though, is with the titular Bean Beasts. Did I use that right? These Bean Beasts are special towers. You can only place one of any particular Bean Beasts, and you level them up with a special currency known as beans. They come in all your essential Pokemon flavors such as Light Bulb and Dog, and they evolve like them too. Level up your Bean Beast enough, and they evolve to a stronger form with new abilities. For example, Dog gains a Ground Slam that he does every once in a while to damage enemies in an area. Each Bean Beast has its own unique power as well that can be activated every few rounds depending on the ability. In addition to that, you don't just lose health as enemies make it to the end of the track and go off screen. You lose health when they make it up to your character and swing on them for damage. In order to defend themselves better because they're a strong explorer who don't need no Bean Beasts, they come with their own weapon choices and mount, and each of those also comes with their own special activated abilities. On the topic of abilities, they aren't just click and cast. When you want to activate an ability, you can hold the button down, popping up a little mini game where you want to release the bar right as it hits the white area, and the bar for each ability moves in their own way. Successfully doing that is called a perfectly timed ability and makes the ability have a stronger effect. Meaning, if you need the ability at its strongest at a certain moment, you need to be a bit more mindful of when you need that ability to go off. There are 3 different difficulties to begin with: Explorer, Adventurer, and Hero. And once you finish the last level, you unlock Beast difficulty, which comes with its own changes and restrictions. If you want difficulty, you'll find it there. But Hero is no slouch either, especially if you want to do the challenges each level provides, such as placing no boxes or saving up a ton of beans or other currency. Levels also come in 3 varieties: normal, endless, and bosses. And the bosses are very, very cool, and in some cases, very difficult, as each comes with their own special mechanics. They also can't be exploited because they don't run down the track like a normal mob. Well, typically they don't. The levels are also where my first complaint comes in that some of the later levels are somewhat hostile to the Bean Beasts themselves, such as most of the platforms moving and eventually destroying your towers as they fall off the map. And you can't get any sort of refund for removing a Bean Beast and moving it somewhere else. So you either leave the Bean Beast there until it dies, don't invest in it, or, I don't know, don't place it to begin with. In fact, later on they sort of lean into this by having a Bean Beast that just converts beans into currency for traps, which I think is a bit silly. Before each level, you're given knowledge of which mobs will be appearing throughout the waves. And this is important to take note of, since each mob has its own weakness, resistances, and in some cases, immunities. And you can only bring a handful of towers and Bean Beasts into any given expedition, so it's important to take that information and use it to choose wisely. This is also where my second complaint comes in. You're only given explicit knowledge of an enemy's stats after killing a certain amount, which means when facing new enemies, there's a chance you just lose, because they're immune to most of your setup and you didn't know they would be ahead of time. This isn't all that common, but happened at least once. On the content side, it is plentiful. It took me around 20 hours to finish each level the first time through, doing about half the challenges and about half on Hero difficulty, half on Adventurer. That's without having touched Beast Mode much. And so at $15 for about 20 hours, that's over 6 times the value of going to see a 2-hour movie for $12, which is pretty good. There really isn't much story to cover. which is fine. You play the role of the descendant of an explorer who inherited their inherited map. Your ancestor originally made it to the island where they met creatures they named bean beasts for some reason. They team up with a handful of the beasts against 99% of the population that are monsters, which is kind of sus because the monsters seem to get along just fine. But ultimately, your ancestor is forced to retreat. Now your character sets out to succeed where they could not. This time with your ability to create traps to aid your bean beasts in the fight against the hordes of monsters. The game goes with a pixel art style that looks great. It's lively in a relaxed manner and colorful but overall grounded without using any bright and neon tones. And most importantly, in a game like this, it's very readable in the heat of a wave, so you can better react to what's going on or know what went wrong. I had no performance issues to complain of, even in massive waves and busy levels. On the audio design side of things, it's great. The music does an incredible job of setting the tone from chilling in the menu to fighting a menacing boss. The sound effects are good too. Everything sounds correct, from the whistling of meteors falling down to the bubbling of, well, bubbles. I think that between the unique mechanics, visual and audio design of the game, and content for the price, I'd say the game is absolutely worth it. While many things aren't perfect, I don't think any part of the game could be considered bad outright. It feels complete and then some, which sadly is an impressive thing nowadays. And if you're a lover of tower defense games, then you won't regret dropping a few beans on this one. You'll support a solo developer who clearly put a lot of work and love into the game. 7.5 beans out of 10.